All right, here we are. Another Advanced Legends Raceline video at Oxford Plains. Oxford is by no means a track you can just show up and be quick at. You have to practice many laps here to find comfort, to find consistency. Um, it's just not one of those tracks where you can just show up and be really good at. So I'm going to do my absolute best to walk you through how I do it. I have found more comfort in racing this track with a pretty good setup. It has to rotate, and you have to have a lot of throttle control and finesse here with some light braking to stay down close to the curbs and get that drive off to where you don't spin and or push the tires. So like we always do, we'll start out from the pits. We'll do a nice run-up lap, and then we'll do 5 race laps. And again, I'll do my absolute best to kind of walk you guys through how I do it. Um, so we'll see how it goes. All right. So our quick lap is going to be a 4:03. So you're going to start off at the start finish line. We should cross between, let's say, 83 and 85 miles an hour. Now, it's kind of hard to tell on the front stretch here, but there is a little darker area. Um, I guess you could call that the tire wear, where the tire marks are. You want to try to. I like to stay just on the inside of it. Um, but again, this track is going to ultimately come down to your preference, the setup that you have, so on and so forth. But you almost want to kind of start your turn in a little bit as you are at the start finish line. And you're going to stay full throttle until this middle, or I guess it'd be the one, two, the third little line divider, tar line, I guess you call it right here. So as soon as you cross here, you're going to let off the gas, and you are going to trail brake on both ends of this track. It is going to be super important to keep the tires from sliding, and it's going to help you stay down by this curb. So when we pass here and we come off the throttle, we're going to trail brake all the way down to the curb, and then we're going to let off, and we're just going to roll this curb. Now in 1 and 2, there is a break in the curb, as you can see here, and we're going to come out just a hair, because when we come up to this curb, it's almost like it's on another line. It's not a clean break, so it does stick out a little bit. So we're going to start to pick up the throttle very, very gently as we approach this break. And as you can see, the curb is out a little bit from the other curb, which would be more in here. So again, we're going to just hold the throttle just to keep some momentum all the way around the corner, trying to stay as close to the curb as we can. And as we get to where we can see the end of the curb, we're going to start to roll into the throttle just a little bit. And as you can see, we're almost on the straightaway, and I'm just now, when I'm at the end of the bleachers, full throttle. So we're going to drift out. We're going to try to make as small a circles as possible. Now on the backstretch here, you can see this lane that I was talking about, where all of the tire marks, or I guess your racing groove would be. But as you can see, I'm going to try to stay just on the inside of it through here. So as we start to come back into the next turn, we're going to go all the way until we get to this second groove where we're going to let off. Again, we're going to trail brake. We're going to turn down. We're going to roll along the curb. Now, speaking of the curbs, real quick, if you hit these curbs, you've got a 1 in 10 chance of keeping it straight and driving forward. These curbs are nasty. They will spin the car. So, you're going to have to find that comfort, and you're going to have to find the consistency with your field of view on exactly how close you can get. So I typically kind of use this hood pin as a guide. All right, so as we continue to go, when we get down to the curb, we're going to pick up the throttle just a little bit. Now here's where I probably vary from some of your faster guys. So about halfway through 3 and 4, I like to come out a little bit. So as you can see, we're not by the curb anymore. We come out to this next line. And that's so I can get a better run coming out of 4, and I can kind of straighten the turn, if you will. So again, we're not full throttle. You can see the wheel. We've already started to straighten it out, because if you keep it turned, you're just going to spin, or you're, depending on your setup, you're just going to scrub and go straight out to the wall. So again, we're darn near on the straightaway before we hit full throttle. We're going to come out. We're going to try to make as small a circles as we can. And there's our one lap around 82. So real quick again, we're at the start finish line. We're going to go ahead and continue this arc around. We're going to come up. We're going to be off the throttle at this second line. We're going to trail brake. See, we're on the brake here until we get to the bottom. We're going to come off the brake. We're going to roll around this bottom. We're going to come out just a hair, because the next set of curbs is not even or in line with the other curb. It does step out a little bit. So if you drift out a little bit, that's fine. So again, we're going to continue to just roll this curb. We're going to get on the throttle just ever so slightly to maintain some momentum. Just going to keep rolling this curb. And once we get out of it, we can continue to max the throttle, drive out of the corner. And again, you can see that groove that I'm talking about, the darker line. I like to stay just on the inside of it. So we're going going to come out and basically we're going to just touch it and then we're going to start to turn back in again. We're going to stay on throttle until we get to this second line. We're off the throttle completely. We're going to get down to that curb. We're going to roll around, getting as close as we can. We're going to pick up the throttle again a little bit just to keep some momentum. I'm going to come out so I can get a better run on the exit of turn 4. Making your steering corrections as needed. And we're going to full throttle when we get to the end of the curb. And we're going to come out, make this smallest circle as possible. And again, we're going to cross at 82 miles an hour. So again, Oxford Plains, there's no, there's no markers on the walls. There's no painted lines to follow. This is just going to be one of those tracks where you have to find your own set of marks. I tried to do my best to help you guys with the tar lines for the lane dividers, or where the lanes, kind of start and stop. But Oxford Plains is one of those tracks where, again, you just have to do what you do and have many, many laps of practice here to stay consistent. So